Hi, my name is Darasimi, and I'm going to teach you imaginary numbers in Algebra 2, despite what the title says. Before I begin, I just wanted to tell you guys about ACE Tutors. So ACE Tutors is a nonprofit program that tutors kids for free that's completely online. All the classes are taught online. It has a variety of courses from mathematics to sciences to pre-honors prep. It tutors classes such as pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, geology, basic physics and chem, astronomy, pre-honors prep for honors English and honors physics, and it also tutors math for kids in 1st grade through 6th grade. Classes are taught by credible tutors who have passed all their classes, and if you want to check us out, or if you simply want to know more about us, or if you're even thinking about taking classes from us, join our Google Classroom code. The code is M2MUUF7. Okay, so imaginary numbers. This is going to be a quick lesson on imaginary numbers. An imaginary number is the result of a square root of a negative number. So this right here, that's an imaginary number. The negative one under a radical is called I. Whenever you see I in algebra 2 or algebra, you know it's an imaginary number because it's the square root of a negative one. We call it the imaginary number because it's something that isn't meant to happen. There can't be a negative under a radical. That's why we call it the imaginary number. But because we still need to overcome this problem and to work with it somehow, we converted it to I and basically use it as a variable in equations. I squared is equal to -1. The whole thought process, the whole reasoning is right here. If you square a square root, it cancels out the square root and you're left with -1, and that's how you get there. There's a whole I chart that could go on forever, and and if you're giving an I to the power of a very large number, you would solve it simply how you would solve this right here. So you would break it down and then you would simplify it into numbers. I recommend memorizing the first four values of I though. So I is equal to the square root of -1, I squared is equal to -1, and I to power of 3 is equal to -I, and I to power 4 is equal to 1. Okay. As mentioned in the chart, I to the power of 3 is equal to -I. The square root of -9 is equal to 3i because 3 times 3 is 9. And since there's a negative under that radical, you would automatically put an I there. So that's why that I is there. Same thing with the square root of -64. Same thing with the square root of -64. 8 times 8 is 64. And since there's a negative under that radical, we would automatically put an I there. This one's asking us if x squared is equal to -16, then what is x? If x squared is equal to -16, we're going to need to solve for x, as per the question saying. So to solve for x, we would take we would take the square root of x squared, and that would leave us with x alone, and we would also take the square root of -16, because if you take the square root of one side, you're going to have to take the square root of the other. So x equals the square root of -16. But we can simplify that even further because 4 times 4 is equal to 16, and since we just learned about I, we could use that in this equation, and our final answer would be x is equal to 4i. For extra practice or extra resources, that's all on our Google Classroom of ACE Tutors. You can check it out, and there are also some extra lessons there in our Google Classroom as well. Okay, so complex numbers. A complex number contains a real number and an imaginary number. It is always written in the form a plus bi. A is a real number, and real numbers are both rational and irrational numbers. So 2/3, that's a repeating number. A rational number is 7, that's a whole number, it doesn't repeat. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 100, 1,000, a million. you get what I'm saying here. And b is the imaginary number. Let's take 7 plus 2i as an example. In this complex number, 7 would be the real number and 2 would be the imaginary number. Oh, one more thing I need to add is that in a complex number, the real number always comes before the imaginary number. So like you notice how these numbers, blue always comes before red. Blue comes before red. This is supposed to be highlighted in blue, but it comes before red. So in this equation, in this complex number, 7 would be the real number, 2i imaginary, a half real, 4i imaginary, square root of 5 real, 10i imaginary. That's it. Thank you.